Hi guys, Maikeru here. Today I want to compare Necromancy with Archaeology. So let's get right into it. First off, I want to compare the skills and their impacts on the game as a whole. I think Necromancy is more impactful than Archaeology overall, but I want to talk more about it. Archaeology gave us a ton of awesome rewards and unlocks such as Ancient Invention, Ancient Summoning, Relic Powers, Inquisitor Staff, Trim Masterwork Spear, Mysteries, Collection Logs, Tetra Compasses, and far more. While all of these things were amazing and huge additions to the game, they were big power crept items and rewards that, helped with PvM, skilling, clues, you name it. But the thing with Necromancy is it's a whole new style in itself, and I feel like that's going to impact the game even more. And the things that Necromancy gives are things such as easier gear to obtain all the way to tier 90. This was amazing with the Mining and Smithing rework, especially for Iron Men, and I think this will be similar for Necromancy, again, especially on Iron Men. That is a huge impact. This skill seems way more accessible than other skills, and I think that's going to change up the game quite a lot, especially for returning players or alt accounts. We have new tier 95s coming in from a new boss that is Necromancer only with the first Necromancer. We did get the Inquisitor Staff and we got the Trim Masterwork Spear with Archaeology, but we didn't get a whole armor set that's tier 90, and then even more at tier 95 from the boss, with a boss release at the same time as the skill being absolutely insane. They said there was 2 bosses coming in as well, which makes it even more crazy. Necromancy has improved combat overall. It feels way more fluid and integrated when I tested it. It's kind of like EOC 2.0. And imagine if they get that ported to other skills. If people like Necromancy, that impact is absolutely phenomenal. The future of Runescape could benefit so much from this skill alone. Even just the tooltips showing the actual amount of damage instead of random percentages that's super confusing is huge on itself, and they said that's definitely getting ported to other skills, which is a huge impact to PvM in general. Not to mention there was the talent point system for the first ever time in Runescape, which a lot of other MMOs have, but Runescape has never done, and I think that's a really good step in the right direction too. There's 8 new quests full of lore, which are kind of like the mysteries and such with Archaeology, right? So we still have that aspect. We have new incantation spells that can impact other styles, and that's just what we've had announced so far, right? There's way more probably coming, and a lot of things this skill is going to offer to the game. Overall, comparing those, it's fairly similar on how much it impacts the game on release there, but it's going to shake up the game way more than just some extra perks and items, because it's going to be really fun post 120 or 200 mil, whereas Archaeology was kind of done when you hit 120 or you hit 200 mil. You didn't really need it anymore. You didn't go back to it tons, and it kind of just was finished, and you just got the benefits from that level. I think Necromancy is going to be a timeless skill which will be done far past 200 mil, like a lot of people do with other PvM stuff, right? Other styles like magic, I probably have like 1 billion experience in just from killing bosses, killing monsters, doing Slayer, whatever. Along with this being said, I feel like the race itself will not be as fun as Archaeology though. I've said Necromancy is going to be very exciting, and I'm very excited for a lot of different aspects for it, and I think it's better in a lot of regards, but this regard, Archaeology outshines it heavily. Archaeology's XP curve was perfect, the skill was all self-sustained, chronotes, new materials, and everything coming from Archaeology itself and not existing items made that race 100 times better. Exploring and learning all of these archaeology related items as well as the skill itself was so much fun. The mysteries and the collection logs also added a nice little side project to do while working on your skill. Necromancy is just combat essentially, but with a few little side things added in, kinda like the mysteries with the rituals and the quests. We've seen combat so many other times, so if the majority of the race is combat, it's nothing new and exciting to really watch. Although the ways that people do the combat and the ways that people unlock things could be very interesting, so that can make the race very fun, which is why I think the talent system will be a big factor of the race, and I think it will be a really fun part to watch. making sure you unlock the good things as soon as possible, using those to benefit your XP and builds towards like certain mechanics or whatever, so you can kill things better, get XP rates higher than others who might not have chose that talent. That could be really cool to see. But other than that, it's kind of just killing things, right? And we've seen that a million times before. Using existing items, there's not that many new items. There's only a few, like the runes, which you would just buy if you're racing. So overall, there's not that many new discoveries, I don't think, for the race. But post-race, there's a million new discoveries. I think that's where the fun of Necromancy comes. Post-race. People are going to level it to 120 and PVM and test all the limits of the abilities and the gear. So ultimately, the TLDR of my comparisons, personally, is that Archaeology had probably the best race on the release of the skill that Runescape has ever seen. Plus, it was in the height of the pandemic and everyone was at home for the most part and watching and being more engaged with the game. Alongside the dig sites being a pretty cooperative area, except for caches, but most people that were training the skill were doing it on the actual spots that you can share. You can't really share creatures in Necromancy, so there's going to be a lot of competition, which then makes the community vibe feel a little bit less as well, and I think that will not be quite as fun as Archaeology. But looking at the post-race content for Necro, it is limitless. Literally, sky is the limit for Necromancy, which is why I think it's going to have a huge impact in the game overall, and a bigger impact than any other skill released, except for maybe Invention. I think Invention is the only other one that has probably shook up the game to the limit of what Necromancy is going to do. And Invention literally saved the economy, so that is a massive shakeup. So as it stands for a typical player, if you don't really care about the race, which is honestly most of the actual player base to RuneScape, I'd honestly say Necromancy is probably going to have a larger impact and be way more exciting for you guys. It's going to be fun to level, explore all of the new abilities that you get and loads of new skills to use. And then it's going to continue to be learned post 120 when people, don't really care about racing. It's all about theory crafting the skill, the rotations, the good bosses to kill, and all of that jazz. It'll be really cool because it's the first ever time in 21 years that we've seen a new combat style. RuneScape has never ever seen a new combat style. I'm personally really excited to dig my teeth into the skill. I'm still excited to race, I just don't think it really competes with Archaeology, and I think I'm more excited for that post-race, that discovery factor of all of the different cool things that you can do with Necromancy and maybe new metas that get revealed for different monsters, different bosses and everything like that. Let me know what you think about the skill and comparing, the last skill release, Archaeology, and Necromancy together. And as always, if you made it this far into the video, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new for loads of future content. And as always, until next time, see ya.